roast sale. Get your favourite roast, plus all my winter veggies for a whole lot less. We've got pork, lamb, chicken and beef, all at unbeatable prices. We've got great value cuts, perfect for slow cooking. Now all WA families can afford a big roast dinner any day of the week. Check out our website for my roast pork shoulder recipe. It's so easy and tastes buonissimo. And now it's so cheap at Spudshed. At Spudshed, we grow it, we sell it, you save.
Hey Karen, what's this note in the fridge?
Dear Darren, you know I love you, but
I couldn't help myself. One spoonful led to another, and, well, I've eaten your entire tub of Gippsland dairy yogurt. It was just so rich and creamy, and that fruity twist. The taste made me do it. I'm sorry. Karen.
Really, Karen? Again?
Gippsland dairy yogurt.
The taste made me do it.
This is where Perth talks at night with Chris Ilsley on Perth Tonight.
Time to catch up with Ben Aylitz. benaylitz.com.au is the website, by the way.
That's right.
Identified by his Hawaiian shirt, which is very, very bright, I have to say. Is that something to do with the fact that it's been a little bit wintry, a little bit bleak, and you thought, I'm going to appear to be, I don't know, a little bit more bright and happy?
Cool, let's run with that. Sounds good.
All right, sounds great. Now listen, mate, not that you're ever one to feed a bit of paranoia, but let's have a bit of paranoia feeding, if you don't mind.
All righty, yes.
Good way to start, isn't it? Let's start with a bit. Okay, tin foil hats on.
Engaged.
Beautiful.
Yes, right,
Let's
ready to
do
go.
it.
All righty. So, well, look, this is something that has come when someone posted something joking about Area 51, which has got, which sort of links into 5G emissions. All right, so
it's all related to the same. Oh, did you like my suggestion today about the stampede at Area 51? I suggested we use the vegans for it.
All right,
that could be fun. We could also find out if they bleed green.
Yeah, that went dark real quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
All right, so what this was, so this video was, it was taken a few years ago, and it is sort of taunting people who want to storm Area 51, saying, hey, look, they've got more than just guns and grenades and things. They've also got this directed energy weapon. And
beautiful. The tinfoil hat brigade have got something else to get paranoid
that's
about.
Right. But this is a parallel that some people against 5G have been comparing, been drawing between this directed energy weapon, or it's using high-frequency radio waves to scare people and actually produce what's known as coined as a heat beam. So they can direct this beam, and when it hits a target, it heats the surface of that target very, very quickly. And it uses the 90 megahertz band, which is just a shade under the 5G upper range of transmissions, which is about the 85 megahertz range, but that's really towards the top end. But I think that's where people are starting to make that link, and they're saying 80, 85 to pretty close to 90, therefore it must be dangerous. And they're making that link, and what they're confusing.
How do people come to these conclusions without any hard facts? I mean, can I just make a suggestion? The word to apply here is science.
Exactly.
Just a little bit of science and all the problems are solved.
Yeah. And so what I think people are doing here is they've got these numbers that are all fully close together, and they're seeing something which looks pretty scary, which is hardened soldiers. They've actually seen field of battle and all that sort of thing. And when they turn this weapon on, these soldiers are wincing and turning away. And when they've been interviewed, they said it's a lot like, and this is from a great distance, they say it's a lot like standing in front of a furnace that's just been opened. So when you open up a hot oven, or you open up a potbelly stove, and it's really, really raging.
Yes.
And you can't help but pull back and go, oh, that's pretty hot. It's that sort of reaction. Now, when people see this and think radio waves, and you're getting this sort of effect, and it's heating people up, it's like a death ray, and it's really, really scary. Yeah,
I like the death ray thing.
It is.
Yes,
it's like that. So, what I think they're missing here is the power, the strength. So it's not frequency, it's wattage.
That's right.
So we can draw an analogy here.
Let's put simply, let's do this in layman's terms. It's the amount of juice.
Yeah, it's the amount of juice going into it. what I try to do.
So it's like
explain-
having this big, massive 8-litre V12 car is no good if you don't have any petrol in it. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Now, what I like to do is I like to try and draw the analogy to another type of wave, which is sound waves. And so sound waves played at any frequency, as long as it's below a certain strength or loudness, is safe. So anything under 70 decibels is pretty safe, and it doesn't matter what frequency you're using. But if you were to play any sound over 80 decibels or over 85 decibels, it starts to get uncomfortable and it causes damage. Over 120 decibels, we're talking the threshold of pain. That's when it actually hurts.
In other words, people will remove themselves from it.
They will, yes.
And if
that's
they
right.
can't remove themselves from it, they will start literally screaming.
Exactly. And it's all down to the loudness or the power. It's got nothing to do with how high or low that sound is. It's how loud or soft it is.
In other words, it's the intensity.
Exactly. So, and this is much the same thing with 5G transmissions versus this directed energy weapon. The weapon is putting out 100,000 watts.
That's 100 kilowatts.
100 kilowatts, yeah.
Right.
But we're going to break it down into watts because we're going to have to try and measure it against a 5G transmitter.
Yes.
So 100,000 watts.
Yes.
How much do you think a 5G transmitter is putting out? One of those little cells they're going to be putting on the sides of buildings all over the place.
1, maybe 2 watts max.
Somewhere between 1/2 of a watt and a watt.
All right. So I was overestimating it by double.
Yep. So if standing in front of this energy weapon is about as intense as standing in front of a furnace where they've just opened the door, standing next to one of these 5G cells is going to be about as warming as standing next to standing in the same room as a candle.
And can I also point out that those signals attenuate at the rate of the inverse square law?
Which means the further you go away, the more rapidly it drops off.
But basically, it means if you're twice the distance, you're getting a quarter the intensity.
Exactly.
That's what it basically means.
Yeah, yeah.
In other words, by the time you're on the ground, you're not getting an awful lot about it. But there's so much paranoia out there. Maybe we should just feed the paranoia, keep the tinfoil hat brigade happy.
Well, that'll be doing the job of what they assume is misinformation from certain countries. So apparently, this is one of the theories I've heard is that Russia are feeling kind of left out because they're lagging when it comes to rolling out 5G technology. So
why don't they just go and buy it? They've got lots of oil. They just go and buy it with oil money.
look, somewhere along the line, something hasn't worked out, and they're going,
I wonder
we can't have them ahead of us so far, so quickly.
I wonder if Sony Ericsson don't like Vladimir and they won't sell him the technology.
Well, look, that's when we start getting into geopoliticals, which is kind of out of my area. But
Yeah.
So what the theory is that a lot of these rumours and untruths have been spread as propaganda from the Russian FS.
Here's the other little inconvenience. Here in Australia, ACMA, who are the people who are responsible for licensing all these services, the Australian Communications and Media Authority,
nice guys,
for 500G have allocated 900 megahertz to 3.6 gigahertz in Australia.
Yeah, 3.6 gigahertz, which is well under 90 gigahertz.
Yes.
Not even close.
Yes. And the other thing is, too, that people forget, the higher the power you go, the shorter the range.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And also, the more susceptible it is, the best way I can explain this, people would understand this.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days when we had VHF television and we had SBS, ever notice that reception from SBS was never as good? I'll tell you a little interesting fact. The vision carrier, that is the power output of the pictures from the VHF television transmitters in Perth, was 100 kilowatts.
Yes.
It was called 100 kilowatts ERP. That's effective radiated power. It's the power that's generated between the transmitter and the actual physical antenna.
Right.
Right. The power of SBS was 300 kilowatts on the vision carrier. So 3 times the output of the VHF transmitters, yet it had about half the coverage. Why? Because UHF, ultra-high frequency, versus VHF, very high frequency. What's the moral of the story here? The higher the frequency, the worse the propagation characteristics, and also the more susceptible the signal is to things like man-made and natural obstacles in the terrain.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly right. So there's a whole bunch of
It's a lot more fun
there.
to tell the tin hat
foil.
You know, tinfoil hat brigade.
Tin hat
It's
foil.
much more fun telling their story, though. Much more fun.
It is. And look, a lot of the videos they have, they're reasonably slickly produced, and they're kind of convincing. And,
And
there's
they have the
obviously-
voice. They have the paranoid voice.
Yeah.
They are out to get you, and they're doing it with electromagnetic radiation.
Exactly.
And you have to
That's
have that
exactly right.
sombre voice that sort of sounds like The Undertaker.
Yeah, yeah. So they've done a good job with production values, and yes, I mean it's all very very convincing as long as you ignore the facts. And the facts are that we're not even close to what's called ionizing radiation. So we've got our radio signals.
In other words, you're not being barbecued. Stop being paranoid.
Yeah. Well, you might be heated up a little bit, but it's like standing in front of a fire.
See, now I know
Really?
what to blame on global warming. 92211 is a telephone number if you've got any questions for Ben. And even if actually you want to find out some there's really interesting facts on all of this sort of stuff. BenAylett.com is his website, by the way. That's also where you'll find his contact information.
Yep.
However, if you've got some technical issues or something that's playing up, or God forbid, ongoing NBN issues, he's a man to have a chat to. Give us a buzz, 92211
Hi, this is Sue McDougall, and I am so excited to announce a brand new gardening show on 6PR from 6 a.m. every Saturday morning. Whatever issues or questions you have in your garden, give me a call or send your pictures to gardening@6pr.com.au and I'll get you on the right track to success in your garden. So join me this Saturday from 6 and let's talk gardening on 882 6PR.
Did you know, regardless of age, you can get a 20% discount on Noble Oak's My Protection Plan for the life of the cover at 50upclub.com. That's right, it's a 20% discount every year, no matter what amount of cover you choose. See how much you can save with a 20% discount on fully underwritten life insurance from Noble Oak. You'll get no surprises, peace of mind cover, and Noble Oak will also advance the cover amount up to $3 million if you're diagnosed with a terminal illness. Get your quote now for a 20% discount on Noble Oak's My Protection Plan for the life of the cover at 50upclub.com. Any advice provided is general in nature. You should read the product disclosure statement to see if this product is right for you.
Looking for solutions on ageing well? Everything you need to know for the future is at the Care and Ageing Expo. Discover the latest products, services and information with over 100 exhibitors, including home and residential care, health services, aged care planning, equipment, retirement and support groups, plus 30 free expo seminars across 2 stages. Perth Convention and Exhibition Centre, August 3 and 4. Pensioners get in free. Tickets online and at the door. careandagingexpo.com.au.
I went into business for myself and things didn't work out, so I had to do a Part 9. Now I'm in a good job and I can make regular payments, but nobody's prepared to give me a go. What can I do?
Simple. Go to yesloans.com.au. We work harder to say yes more often.
I'm thinking of getting that hearing checkup.
Well, you know you need to go to Lions, right?
Why's that?
Because Lions Hearing Clinic staff are fully qualified and everyone who works there is completely commission-free. That's important because it means they put your needs first and only recommend solutions that are best for you.
Glad you're on the ball.
To book your checkup at your local Lions Hearing Clinic, call 1-800-0-LIONS.
If you run a small business, you don't want to pay over the odds for anything, including international money transfers. But with money markets changing by the minute, it's hard to know how to get the best deal. Many small businesses are making the smart move to OFX, an ASX-listed global money transfer specialist. OFX offers fast, secure technology and hands-on local support. So make your next move with OFX, where the world's moving.
Until midnight on 6PR, this is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley.
Ben Aylett's here, talking technology. BenAylett.com.au is the website. He's identified by his Hawaiian shirt. If he speaks very loudly tonight, that's so he can be heard above his shirt.
Yeah.
G'day, Brian.
Nice. Hello, Chris. Hello, Ben.
G'day,
I've
Brian.
just got a couple of tips for pension bank accounts. It's common now that they want you to download your bank statements over the internet so they don't have to pay for a stamp to send it out to you.
Right.
But a couple of things happened, like my wife had a fixed deposit and also a pension account, and we checked with this bank, and they had a limit of $1,500 per day for each account. Now, one's a fixed deposit for 12 months, so if you start taking money out of a fixed deposit, you'll lose your right to the full interest amount, which is not very much these days anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So it transpired that if anyone, this bank told me, I think it'll be a banking practice, but it needs to be confirmed, anyone born prior to 1952 can get their bank statements free anyway. So, you know, it's not going to cost you a fee for that. People born after that might have to pay it.
Oh, okay.
So the other thing was that when my wife set this account up, she didn't have a smartphone, so I just give her my phone number for SMS communications.
Yeah.
And I got one a couple of weeks ago saying that your bank statements were ready for downloading. Well, we went and saw the bank, and she hasn't even got a computer. So I figured that from a point of view of getting hacked, the less time you're on the computer, the better. So it turned out that because, you know, most of her bills, she can just go and get the cash out sort of from the pension account.
Yep.
And any other bills, we can, you know, pay half each or something. So we took all ours offline because there's no advantage to us. They tell the tax department what the interest was. They also tell us too, so we can do our tax return. So I don't think the training there is very good compared to what it should be. Like if this lady on the phone, when we rang the particular bank and complained about it, they said, oh, you know, prior to 1952. I said, well, how come the staff didn't know that? And I think it's lack of training, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's a good, you know, like first you get your bank statements free. Second, you don't have to go online and risk the chance of getting hacked. So now she doesn't go online at all, or I don't go online for her. So I think it's worth knowing that.
Right.
It is. Thank you very much for the information, Brian, too.
That's a whole bunch of information.
Mind you, can I say, people not being aware of what products and services they're offering. How often does that happen now? It does my head in. It really does. Good day, Mark.
G'day, Ben. G'day, Chris. How we doing?
Good, mate.
Very well, Mark. What's up?
Hey, listen, quick one. We're going on a reasonably lengthy overseas trip in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah.
And I've always been, when I've flown on holidays, I've always preferred to take books rather than any electronic devices to read. But I don't want to load myself up with a whole heap of books. So I'm wondering, what would Ben's preferred device be for taking on a longish trip? I mean, I've got an iPad, so iBooks is an option.
Yep.
But how does that compare with Kindles or any other devices that you might consider?
Yeah, well, when it comes to travel and reading, I am a big fan of Kindle, mainly because it works anywhere and everywhere, and you've got all your books stored on the Kindle as well. And the battery life is just astonishing. It's really, it's something that will put an iPad to shame. So iPads are great, and you can use the Kindle app on your iPad as well. So you can still buy all of your books through Kindle or through Amazon, yeah, and they can be downloaded directly to your iPad, which is really cool. But with Kindle, you can actually purchase the books inside the Kindle, and it'll go against your account. And as long as you do that while you're on safe Wi-Fi, so I'd recommend getting it loaded up at home first, and then going abroad, and then just keeping it in airplane mode all the time, because to be honest, you don't need to use Wi-Fi when your Kindle is already loaded with books, and it's a hell of a lot more convenient to transport than a bundle of books, that's for sure.
What's easiest on the eyes, do you think? Well, any difference? I'm talking fatigue, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so Kindles are actually quite easy to read. They do have it's like an e-ink display, and they start off with really cheap ones that aren't that well backlit. So that's the Kindle Touch, or the all-new Kindle. But you can also go for the Kindle Paperwhite, which has got a backlit screen, and it's really quite easy to read. And then the next version up from that is the Kindle Oasis, which has got a dimmable display. It's still black and white or sepia and white, so you can actually get that aged paper look to the screen, which is really cool, and it's waterproof.
Okay. And what price are we looking?
All right, so
Those three options.
yep. So for the Kindle, you're looking around about $100 just for the standard Kindle. For the Kindle Paperwhite, it's around about $130 to $150, and the Kindle Oasis is about $250.
Geez, that's really, really good value.
It's not bad at all, yeah. But keep in mind, only good for reading books.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Mark, and enjoy your holiday too.
Yeah.
We're just mildly envious. G'day, Chris.
Oh, g'day, Chris and Ben. How you going?
Good, mate.
Very well, Chris. What's up, mate?
Just had a question, slight comment on the RF radiation.
Oh, okay.
And and then by no means am I an expert, by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But I sort of thought, because I was sort of looking into that a little while ago, and I thought about the harmful or the possible harms to the body were conducted on a thermal basis rather than a pulsing basis, and they haven't actually done tests on the pulse rather than the thermal. Is that the correct understanding of that?
What's your understanding of pulse?
Well, the number of times that the device will transmit a certain...
You're talking about the frequency?
Yeah. So
no, the tests have been done on the frequencies. It does vary according to the frequencies. But as Ben mentioned earlier, it's non-ionising radiation.
Yeah, but so the way that they've tested it, I thought, was more on how it heats the body rather than the actual cycle.
Right.
No, they've done testing on that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, they have done testing, and actually some of the testing has been done to try and prove that 5G is harmful. But in order to get maybe a fraction of a degree's change on the surface of a rat, for example, in part of the test, they had to transmit at a power that was hundreds of times higher than what was allowed. So we're talking, instead of half a watt, we're talking around about 500 watts.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. So it's all about the power.
They've actually done those tests, like those.
Yep. They have done tests, and a lot of the people who want to try and push the anti-5G agenda have pointed to this research. And the research itself, if you look closer at the research, you'll find that it's kind of flawed, because what they've done is they've tried to create conditions that would prove their theory.
Right. Okay. So it's biased, sort of. Okay.
Just to feed the paranoia, because that's what gets views on YouTube.
Thanks very much for that, Chris. The other thing to point out, of course, we've had electromagnetic radiation since
Marconi.
Marconi and Hertz. Well, Hertz was the first one. He sent radio waves across the room.
Yes.
So the first person to subject himself to electromagnetic radiation was one Heinrich Hertz.
Beat the clock. Win the cash. 6PR's $1,000 minute with Steve and Baz. Thanks to Perth Window and Door Replacement Company.
You've won $1,000!
Listen out for your window of opportunity. Get on board one of life's amazing experiences. A luxury APT Magnificent Europe River Cruise from Amsterdam to Budapest. Just listen to Breakfast with Steve Mills and Basil Zemplis for the daily code word. Enter your details and the code word at 6pr.com.au and you could win a 15-day APT Magnificent Europe River Cruise for two. It's all thanks to 6PR and APT Luxury Travel. All inclusive, all taken care of, so you can live fully.
Visit ancient Eastern sites. Dine on Luke Nguyen-inspired dishes and rediscover your inner calm. Travel Vietnam and Cambodia in 2019 with APT. Book now and you'll fly business class for free. Fly business class for free to Vietnam with APT Luxury Travel. All inclusive, all taken care of so you can live fully. Subject to availability. Conditions apply.
Did you know omega-3 DHA is essential for the normal development of your baby's brain and eyesight? Blackmore's Pregnancy and Breastfeeding Gold is a tailored multivitamin that contains 500 milligrams of odorless concentrated fish oil. It also contains a lower constipation form of iron that's gentle on mum's tummy. Blackmore's Pregnancy and Breastfeeding Gold is just $29.99 at Chemist Warehouse. Always read the label, follow the directions for use. Supplements may only be of assistance if dietary intake is inadequate. Chemist Warehouse, great savings every day.
This is the 6PR Community Bulletin Board, proudly brought to you by Hyundai. All day, every day, WA.
The Reading Writing Hotline is there to help adults who have difficulties with reading, writing or spelling. So take the plunge. Call now on 1300 655 06. Bayswater Community Men's Shed is welcoming new members. Enjoy woodworking, metalwork and socialising every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday from 8:30am to 12:30pm. Pop in for a cuppa at 21 King Street, Bayswater. The Westerners Blind Golf Club caters for blind and visually impaired people of all ages and ability levels. Join them for social golf at Lake Claremont Short Course each Friday morning. Call Bob on 0403 753 474.
Do you have something happening in your community? Promote it on the 6PR Community Bulletin Board. Email details to community@6pr.com.au. Proudly brought to you by Hyundai. All day, every day, WA. 6PR, part of your community.
This is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley on 882 6PR.
Ben Aylett's here to talk technology. benaylett.com is the website. That's 1L 2 T's in Aylett. Yep. 922 11 882 if you'd like to have a chat to Ben, though. Good day, Norman.
Please, just want to thank Ben for that number last week. It's very helpful.
For the what last week was it?
For the number.
Telstra assistance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we
Very
go.
helpful.
Oh, lovely.
It's been very helpful.
I'm glad it worked out, mate, so that they were all very helpful and they sorted you out.
Not getting my data allowance text anymore about my Telstra bill due.
Oh, good.
Usually,
Oh, that's great.
because not getting those anymore. They will stop coming. Those data allowance.
Excellent.
messages.
So it sounds like someone somewhere, Ben, has finally got the message and has at least been able to help you out.
Hooray.
Sounds wonderful to me. Thank you very much for that. Thanks for
for that,
letting us
Norman.
know too.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And look, also, I just want to say a quick thank you to Chris, a caller previous to Norman, for actually calling in and asking some pretty good questions about a hot topic. So
Yeah,
that's something I really hope will happen.
that is appreciated, and of course, I'm really appreciative of the fact that he engaged in intelligent discussion rather than phoned up and parroted stuff that the tinfoil hat brigade liked to.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff you read, mate, there was some of the stuff online. I sent a note and I said, "Why am I reading comments by so many loose units? This is unbelievable."
To be honest, I was actually hoping we might get one of those calls tonight, but that wasn't the case.
Mate,
Oh, well.
I've chewed their heads off too much. They know to stay away from me. Hey, speaking about staying away from stuff, is it called FaceApp? I must admit, never went near it.
FaceApp, yeah. Well,
Believe it or not, in the time since you and I last spoke last week, this came and went. I mean, talk about 15 minutes of fame. Talk about burning white hot.
Yep.
Somebody poked up and said two words, Russian and data.
Yes.
All of a sudden there was a mass, I don't know, almost worldwide collective bowel collapse.
Well, yeah, it was almost like that. So the hype over it was actually quite extraordinary. FaceApp has actually been around for 1 or 2 years already, and it already went viral before when it first was released, and I think in about 2017. And back then, the aging and the the Hollywood look and the way that it manipulated faces was pretty impressive as it is. Fast forward to last week, and the technology has improved in leaps and bounds, and some of the stuff that's been coming out through FaceApp is actually quite amazing. But what it's also prompted is people have gone and read the terms and services. And how often does that happen?
Never.
Never. And so they've gone and read the terms and services, and they've seen things like worldwide irrevocable rights handed over to FaceApp with whatever data you upload to our servers, yada, 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 courtesy FaceApp, St. Petersburg, Russia. And so people have looked at these terms and services and said, geez, that's really ambiguous and far-reaching. And hang on a sec, they're in Russia?
Yes.
So it was...
Translation, if something comes from overseas outside of your jurisdiction, don't worry about the terms and conditions, because if they decide to break the terms and conditions, there's naff all you can do about it anyway.
Well, yes, that's true. But, I mean, I don't think we can trust Russia, like a Russian social media organisation, any more than we can trust any other social media organisation, because they're all operating on the same terms of service.
Yeah, that's true. Although at least if you've got somewhere like Facebook, they're in the United States, you've got the legal system to get at them.
Yeah.
Between you and the Russian one stands one Vladimir Putin, former KGB agent. Don't know if I'd trust him too much.
Yeah, but look, Facebook has been fined by the FCC, I believe, or the FTC, So they have been fined recently for mishandling data.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, $5 billion. Now, Facebook makes $15 billion.
I was going to say, we're talking about change for the Coke machine. I understand that.
This is couch change. So even if they are prosecuted and found guilty and then they got to pay a fine, they just shrug it off and keep on and just chug on to next quarter. So I don't think there's a stick really big enough to whack Facebook.
Forgetting about all this for one moment, the thing I never got about FaceApp, why does anyone want to make themselves look older? I mean, quite frankly, I'd rather do something than wind myself back to 1982, if you don't mind.
That FaceApp has got a filter for that too. It can make you look younger. It can make you smile. It can make you look like a Hollywood superstar. But everyone wants to have a look in.
Nothing could make me look like a Hollywood superstar, mate. That'd never happen. Trust me, I'd like to look like Brad Pitt, but it's not going to happen.
Well, look, okay, within reason. It's
Thank
not
you.
magical.
But within reason, I'll go with that. I do enjoy pushing the envelope a bit, but we do have to stay within the bounds of reality from time to time.
That's right.
Mate, we're just about out of time, but you reckon use FaceApp and don't get so paranoid?
Well, okay, FaceApp, yes, use it, but just understand that there is a trade-off, and I'm just really, really encouraged that we're at least having this conversation.
We certainly are, and as they always say, if something is free, then the commodity is you. We'll talk to you next week. BenAylett.com is the website.
Hi, I'm Paul McGovern from WA Hino.